first person ever going cricket to baseball. So Kieran, former professional athlete, and you've made a pretty smooth transition to entrepreneurship.
And my wife comes out the room and asks, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, watching cricket." And she's like, "You're not on holiday." I said, "Well, I thought we were on holiday. What are you doing?" She said, "No, you have to find something to do with your time." It's crazy. We were like, "What? What?" We couldn't believe. If you make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. If you make it in America, you pretty much will make it anywhere as well. So.
Patrick Findaro here, founding partner at Visa Franchise. Today we have a special guest on, our client Kieran Powell, former professional athlete for our audience that follows cricket in the UK, South Asia, Caribbean, all over the place where cricket's played, Australia. I know I've asked my buddies that know cricket, have played cricket. Have you heard of Kieran Powell? And everyone knows him. And some people might know him too in the U.S., given his tryouts in the Major League Baseball, going, I think, first person ever, going cricket to baseball.
Yeah.
So Kieran, former professional athlete, and you've made a pretty smooth transition to entrepreneurship. And that's what brought you here and to us, as you got the O-1 talent visa, not for your athletic prowess, but for your experience as an entrepreneur. So Kieran, thanks so much for joining today.
No, Patrick, thanks for having me.
And I know we met. You took me out to dinner in London. We caught up a lot more in person. You walked me through your whole background, growing up in the Caribbean, going to an elite boarding school in the UK, which, I think the years that you spent there, I think it sounds like really cemented you to be able to do anything sports wise or business wise. But you've had a really cool career. What led you to, take the leap now to move into the US, as you were pretty well established in the UK, as well as a hub out of Sri Lanka and Asia? Why make the move to the US?
Honestly, the business that we're doing in terms of the sports hydration drinks, we look at global markets and stuff, my wife and I have to say a huge part of it is down to my wife, who's obviously my agent as well, a lawyer, and she's very strategic in how we go about things. Looking at the global markets, if something sort of takes off in the US, then it's going to be accepted more widely by the rest of the world in terms of a product. You look at most of the major products that are global brands, they're American brands. So with that in mind, we sort of approach the likes of Walmart, of Amazon, etc. And lo and behold, we're able to get our products into those distribution retail options. And so, I mean, obviously, next steps is if you have a US entity that is going into the likes of, as I said, the Walmarts and the Amazons, it makes sense to sort of have some sort of roots in that market, as we know the US is the biggest consumer market in the world. And once, I mean, as Jay-Z said, if you make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. If you make it in America, you pretty much will make it anywhere as well. So.
Competition's fierce, but there's also a lot of collaboration and a lot of people that are willing to help and take a chance on you.
Hey, you want to come to the US, get to E2 visa, L1, or straight out a green card? We've been doing this for the past 10 years, and we wrote a book. It's called Own Your American Dream. What is special about this book is that we went back and have spoken to 21 successful applicants who opened up their businesses here and who are continuing to live the American dream. Hear it from them, because they talk about their fears, their mental state, what went wrong, what went right. The entire blueprint is there. You could just buy the book right here. You can just read it and make up your mind. Continue your video.
And Kieran, again, congrats, as I followed your journey launching your beverage brand, AYQ. Maybe you could just tell the audience a little bit about the nexus of the idea and how kind of everything connected through as being a professional athlete and then now forming this sports nutrition beverage brand.
Yeah, again, I mean, it's down to my wife. We were on holiday, or so I thought, at my mother-in-law's place out in Sri Lanka. And one afternoon, I was I think I was sitting on the couch watching cricket as you do when you're on holiday. And my wife comes out the room and asks, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm watching cricket." And she's like, "You're not on holiday." I said, "Well, I thought we were on holiday. What are you doing?" She said, "No, you have to find something to do with your time." I was like, "Well, I'm on holiday. I've just come from playing a cricket tournament and I've got to go back to play our next one in 2 weeks' time." She goes, "No, you got to start thinking about life after cricket." And I mean, naturally, most athletes don't generally think about life after cricket. You get so consumed in the here and now, and then snap of a finger, it's all over, and it's sort of a huge drop off, and then trying to figure it out and hopefully get a spike again. So, um, went down to the living room, started thinking about ideas in terms of, I guess, things that might be of interest to me. Started thinking about the sport beverage market. You look at the combination of Emma being from Sri Lanka, her mom living out in Sri Lanka, Emma and I living in the UK, me being from the Caribbean. What can we sort of do to connect the two? And that's where we came up with AQ, fruits and spices in a hydration drink. No one's ever sort of done that. You look at the functional benefits of spices. We've got an apple cherry cinnamon and an orange mango turmeric, as you've just nicely shown there on the screen. The functional benefits of turmeric and cinnamon, along with the traditional hydration ingredients like vitamins, electrolytes, minerals, amino acids, etc., I think positions us well to not just compete in the hydration space, but be sort of a point of difference to what is on offer in the market as well. So that's sort of the genesis of how we created the product.
And low sugar, which I like. Because a lot of the times you see like 30 grams.
100% had to be low sugar, because I mean we still manage to iterate it enough to the point where it tastes really well, and that's not just me as the founder saying that is like a genuine comment, because the first samples we had, Emma and her whole family spit them out and like, "Were you trying to kill us?"
Oh my God.
It has been a long journey, but we have gotten to the point where it tastes really well. But obviously, I mean, if you're trying to be a health conscious brand in today's world, then you have to provide something that provides actual benefit for consumers, as opposed to just saying you do. So that was one of the major points for us. And low sugar is something that we wanted to provide, because lots of other drinks on the market are packed with 300 grams, how many of a gram, 60 grams, 80 grams,
Yeah.
and you can't necessarily be a health product and putting that much sugar into the body each time someone drinks a bottle or a can.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, I mean, when you look at all the, I feel like you're part of like this next wave, whether it's, I guess a third wave of hydration drinks, where it was like first Gatorade and then coconut water, which has benefits, but when you drink it in huge quantities, it's like 50 grams of sugar.
Yeah.
And now, and your group and a few other players in the space adjacent to IQ, really seem to be this third wave of hydration.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's our USP as well. I mean, ultimately, as you said, it is a big market. We're just trying to do our part in that market. Hopefully, we can someday become market leaders or have our market share. But no, it's difficult to create things where people don't understand the value. So I mean, I think this is pretty straightforward. Um, if you like spices, that's amazing. If you don't like spices, it's still a great opportunity for you to try, because it's not something that is like overpowered by the flavor or taste of the spices. You actually get most of the fruit flavoring, but you get the benefits of the spices. So I think it's a great combination.
So for me, I like spices, turmeric. For my father or wife, probably better IQ. The cherry cinnamon flavor.
100%.
IQ.
And that's how we're split in this house as well. I'm an apple cherry, my wife's a turmeric. So
Well, Kieran, walk me through your journey, because I know we spoke for the first time maybe like 4 years back, and it was about the E2 visa. And then we started having some success with the O-1. At the time, we started reconnecting, and then we decided that was the best fit for you, the O-1A, and you worked with one of the filing attorneys, Jacob, I know, on the case, who we worked closely with. But could you share just a little bit about your process with the O-1 and how it was documented and this mix of sports and business?
Yeah, I think we had an interesting mix. Obviously, naturally, people go for sort of, I guess, one thing, whether it be sport or business or whatever the case is. But I think that, obviously connecting with you and then discussing with Jacob, we thought as though the blend may lead it well into obviously a strong background in sports in terms of my professional playing career, but then also going into sports hydration. So, keeping a connection to the sporting world, but in an entrepreneurial manner now, entering the US market. So I think that's where we figured that the the O-1 might be um, more suited to what we're going to do now. I mean, obviously the E2 is business as well, but I think that the extraordinary talent visa sort of fit well in terms of what we are looking to do and what we are doing. So um, it combined well, and as you mentioned, we got the O-1 and obviously we got the O-3, and no, we've been very happy. The entire family is happy, and the next step is to, in our estimation, get on the ground and get to the green card.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that's one of the attractive things that we discussed early on was, O-1A, you've already kind of laid out a lot of the work for then getting the EB-1A green card. And obviously we'll further document items and document, the launch that you've just done with Walmart and then in stores next year and then going live on Amazon and the success of the AQ beverages. But you've already done, some of the work, and it's not like doing a totally different process to secure the green card.
100%, and it's been honestly amazing working with yourself.
Thanks,
Obviously, different members of the team have chipped in along the way, but I think that the way that you've been so responsive, so communicative, informative, you've helped us. We don't sleep, so we've dropped you messages and calls at all times of the day because we're in always in different time zones and traveling and whatnot. But it's been a very smooth process. It's obviously the wait in terms of have we got it, have we not got it, then that was probably the hardest part. But once we finally got confirmation that yes, and it's just to go into the interview, we were pretty confident at the interview stage. Mind you, the people at the embassy did reject quite a few people around us, but
Oh, wow.
our
Do you know
interview,
what type of visas they were applying for?
lots of different types of visas.
Okay.
But our interview, I think we were probably the only O applicants on the day, and our interview
Did
process
anyone
was.
recognize you at the embassy? Because it was in Barbados, right?
We
They have
ended
a
up
pretty
we ended up having a very long conversation with the people at the desk,
good.
not about the visa, but about cricket. So yeah, I think that sort of worked in
Yeah.
our favor.
That's awesome, man. And then we talked a little bit about the E2, and I think the E2 is a great visa, and that's what the majority of our clients start with. But the problem with the E2 is the ownership, and for you're a high growth company, like you don't want to close doors to whether it's venture capital or private investors coming in, and maybe you get diluted down, and it's good because you're making stuff, you're part of something really really big. Where the E2, it's kind of a pain because you have to maintain that 50%. And in the US with high growth businesses, you're usually not building alone, and you
Yeah,
have smart money capital investors that come in, open doors, and grow alongside you. So O-1, I think to the EB-1A and working with the filing attorney Jacob, setting the strategy, and now you're working closely with Serene, kind of seems like the best path to not worry as much about the immigration side and just continue just doing your business and focus on that.
yeah, 100%. I mean, as you said, what we're operating in is a high growth environment, and we've already started discussions with lots of different retail options. I mean, you can think about America having the likes of Costco's, Targets, Whole Foods, and all these other things that we think our product will do very well in. So yeah, it's difficult being sort of on an E2 and maintaining 50% because any investment that comes in, obviously you get diluted down, and then that sort of affects the potential growth of the business, as opposed to the O-1, which allows you to, as you rightfully mentioned, just continue to work and expand the business, being a smaller part of something much bigger.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's like the American way.
Yes. 100%. Yeah.
And it's a hard market to conquer just by yourself. Maybe you could conquer a city or even a whole state by yourself, but in terms of doing the whole US and then conquering global after that, distribution's so big, and
Yeah.
you need some help along the way.
I mean, just to start with the online side of things, it's even difficult, because as you said, it's just such a big country and such a big market, and to service the entire country, it's a difficult task. To just stay on top of manufacturing has been a difficult task, and then trying to forecast, okay, we need to do another run before Christmas because then you're going to have sales over the Christmas period, and it's going to take a while to pick up after, and just all these different things. So I think we are truly blessed that we were able to have this opportunity, because I mean, anyone can start a business per se, but to have everything sort of come full circle where we've been, I guess, granted the opportunity to have an O-1 and be on the ground and operate that in such a high competitive market. No, it's truly a blessing.
And then, I mean, we talked a little bit in London over our meal, like just the difference with the US. Like, how long would it take to get into like a UK retailer, like a German retailer doing the same thing? And how many months, not years, did it take with Walmart? And then how many years would it take with like one of the big German or UK retailers?
Apparently, the Walmart process normally takes around 6 months. It took us roughly around a month,
Huge.
which was crazy. We were like, what? We couldn't believe. In the UK, for example, they were asking us to show, I guess, sales history and all that sort of stuff. I mean, but it's difficult to show his sales history when you haven't given us an opportunity to do so. So, it's sort of a catch-22 type of thing. But I think the US is definitely a lot more progressive in that way. And as you rightfully said at the start of this, a lot more people that are willing to work with you and give you an opportunity and help you. It's a big market. It's a competitive market. There are lots of brands. But again, to the point that it is a big market, there are a lot of people that are willing to help you and not be looking to stop your growth. Or, people would like to say, I was able to help that company. And that goes a long way for them in future as a reference point to what other companies should come and work with them as well, as opposed to, I stopped that company coming in because they didn't have a sales history, which is something that doesn't make sense as a retailer. Like, you want to sell as much as possible, not as little as possible. So,
and you're going to market the hell from your side and leverage your own personal brand to really push this out too.
100%.
So it's not like they're just in by themselves trying to market and sell it.
100%. And so I'm quietly confident that we'll do very well. I'm quietly confident that the brand will grow. I'm not sure if you've heard of a brand called Raw Nutrition. They're also based out. The founder's also based out of Florida, I think Port St. Lucie. But I'm quite I'm quite a big fan.
I just pulled it up. I recognize it.
Yeah, I'm quite a big fan of the way he's grown that brand. I think that he's done an amazing job. And
well, I've had the protein shakes before.
Yeah. So we're working with some of the same people
Very cool.
as strategic partners that they work with as well. And I think that I think we'll be okay. I think you'll start seeing AQ in a lot more places that are commonly traveled by wider mass consumers.
And how do you plan, to keep up with the production, R&D, or is this all going to be, localized in the US or split between UK and Sri Lanka? How do you plan to kind of scale up this operation?
Well, for the US market, everything's going to be done on the ground. And that's why we sort of needed the O-1, because we have to be in certain places. So we've got a production facility in Connecticut. We do R&D in Fort Lauderdale, lovely place. So yeah, like we for the US side of things, everything is going to be done on the ground. For the UK, everything's going to be UK and Europe, everything's going to be done out of UK, and for the rest of the world, everything will be done sort of production wise out of India. But we have distribution in the UAE, in India, and all these places coming up next year as well.
It's big.
Yeah.
So having competed at the highest levels of cricket, as well as trained with some Major League Baseball teams, how has that kind of elite athlete mindset helped you as you've launched and now to scale the brand AQ?
I think it's actually very important because for me, I think a lot of the teachings around sport, people think of it as a professional athlete, etc., etc. But for me, I think the main teachings that I've always gotten from sport is teamwork. Obviously, through traveling, understanding how to work with different people in different cultures. Everyone doesn't have, I guess, the same values as you do. So it's just understanding how to operate in different ecosystems, how to get success in different parts of the world. Everything that you do in your country may not be the same as what's required in a different country to have, the same level of success. So just these little things, I think, go a long way. And obviously, being competitive. I don't want to create a brand and lose. I want to be one of the best brands or the best brand in the world. So um, just naturally through that, like I genuinely don't sleep from since we've created this brand because I want to make sure that I'm putting all my time, effort, and energy into the success of this brand. And so naturally that way I'm very competitive and I look at all the big companies as being the big companies for now until we have a foot in the door in 12 to 18 months.
And moving countries, changing careers, building a company, all challenges. What were some moments that really tested you throughout this journey, and how did you push through them?
I mean, the hardest thing, obviously R&D and stuff was difficult, making sure that we got the right product, the right taste and everything like that, but making sure that we got a distribution outlet, because you can have the most amazing product in the world, but if you don't have a distribution outlet, then you don't have a means by which to sell. And so it was quite daunting at times because as I mentioned, like in the UK, it was quite sort of a no first approach. And we had that sort of other places as well, like in Asia, etc. Um, but then, as I mentioned to you earlier in this piece, Walmart changed our lives, giving us the opportunity to go to the online platform on Walmart. Amazon again changed our lives and giving us that opportunity. And then it sort of became a full circle thing because then other people started hearing that you're going to be distributed through those mediums and those channels, and then they come running at you asking, okay, no, can we have a conversation? But then your focus has sort of shifted because
You don't
you
need
need
to,
to,
like,
yeah,
yeah.
you don't need to, but you also have to put a lot more time and effort into, I mean, Walmart has 200 million customers online per month.
Huh.
Amazon has more than that. And Amazon is Amazon US, Canada, and Mexico to start with. So you understand the magnitude of the potential exposure that the brand has just been launched into. If you're servicing 1% of both platforms, you're doing an amazing job. You start servicing 10% of both platforms, the brand is excelling at the highest level. So understanding the opportunity that we have in front of us sort of made us not want to rest on our laurels. And as I said, I'm extremely competitive, and so is Emma. Emma's even probably more competitive. Emma tries to beat me at cricket. I'm a professional cricketer, so that should tell you all you need to know.
And Kieran, tell me, like, 2026, like we catch up in person, whether it's in, Fort Lauderdale, Texas, UK, what would you be happy with? Like how many units, whether it's in the 12 pack or like physical cans, like where you're like, man, we crushed it this year. Like we sold X amount. Do you have like a number already in mind?
I do.
So you mind sharing it with the audience?
At the end of 2026, I will not be happy. I will not sleep properly unless we sell 500,000 units.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
So that's good. Thinking big.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you've got one life, you got to go after it, So I won't sleep until we sell 500,000 units. This time next year, we should have completed that.
Kieran, where does someone like start that, they've had some previous success? All our clients essentially have had some level of success. And then whether they're moving from the UK, Canada, Australia, Germany, or some of the big markets our client from, they're usually doing pretty well and comfortable, but they're for whatever reason, they're interested in taking that next jump to the US, business, family, some mix. A lot of people probably watching this aren't or listening to this aren't quite ready to make that jump and have reservations. What would you tell those folks that have already been successful in their home markets or at some partial global scale about building a business in the US, about growing a business in the US, getting the O-1 visa or some other visa like a E2 investor visa?
Well, starting with working with yourselves, I think that, as I mentioned, that you're very helpful. Not just only on the visa side of things, like if there's any connections at all that you have that you think may be applicable to that particular industry, like you're very open with your contact book, which has been amazing as well. But in terms of moving to the US, I think, and just moving in general, because I mean, obviously, as you said, most folks would have built up some level of success within their countries, but why not try and maximize your full potential? As I said, America is probably the world's biggest consumer market in any industry. The dollar spend is a lot higher than other countries because I guess the local population make a lot more money than other countries. So why not try and, I mean, why be comfortable with what you have? Why not try and push yourself? Because at the end of the day, you can always go back to being comfortable, but you can't get another opportunity once it's missed, if that makes sense. So I always encourage people to push yourself as hard as possible. Take a step, take a leap of faith. You never know what may happen. You may be someone that changes the world, as opposed to just being comfortable sitting at home. So definitely try and get out of your comfort zone, and see what could potentially happen.
And you could have stayed in St. Kitts and Nevis. I mean, how many people are there? 50,000, 70,000?
Well, Nevis. I'm from Nevis. I'm from the smaller one. There's 10,000 people there. So I could have stayed in Nevis. 10,000 people. Probably never heard of me. Probably never even knew Nevis existed.
I'm sure you would have had a great local impact, and whether it's in business, politics, or whatever, you would have had a great local impact on those people. But what you've done, UK, Asia, and now US, you can impact more lives.
Exactly, and just but by not being there, I think my impact is greater than what it could have possibly ever been by living there. Even if I became the leader of the country, the doors I'll be able to open now for others. The doors I've opened already for others. I could have never done if I stayed there. So. 100% no. I mean, I'm living proof. Like, I'm not just asking people to do something like I haven't done. You have to be uncomfortable to make things comfortable.
Well, Kieran, this has been great. We've gone through a lot. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you think might be relevant for our audience today?
No, it's just thanks to you and the entire team again. It's been an amazing process. I'd highly recommend yourselves, as you know, I have highly recommended yourselves to other members of our family as soon as we sort of got things done, and we'll continue to do so because it was indeed an amazing experience and process, and I highly recommend your services.
Well, Kieran, really appreciate the boost of confidence, and anything I can do. Obviously, we'll sync offline on AQ, but I'll be placing an order today.
Thank you.
Really appreciate the appreciate the kind words and look forward to following your journey in the US, but also, to scale up and use that as a launch pad to go global.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Patrick. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Kieran. Thanks so much.
Cheers.